What's going on, folks? This is Rain, and today we're taking a look at an AskReddit thread titled, "Which high school friend took a path you didn't expect?" Found a lot of really interesting answers in this thread, some heartwarming, some heartbreaking, and just a really wide, diverse range of answers here. So let's just jump right in. I knew a girl in high school who was very sweet but very shy. She had very poor eyesight, had some tough dental issues, was overweight, and lived with a foster family in a trailer park. She wasn't particularly close with anyone in school. I got the sense that she was just trying to make it through, head down, get it done. But she was always kind and I would talk with her a bit here and there. Mostly she kept to herself and seemed to want to just not be noticed at all. After high school, we lost touch. 20 years later, I get a Facebook request from someone with her name, but the picture looks nothing like her. Not even a vague resemblance. I accept because I'm curious. Well, it was indeed her. It turns out that she worked her way through / paid for community college, ended up getting a good job with a family company, and worked her way up the ranks there. She saved all of her money. By her late 20s, she saved enough money and had good insurance for eye surgery and dental surgery. She also started really focusing on getting healthy. She said it all boosted her confidence so much that she started traveling around the country. During those travels, she ended up meeting a great guy. She and her husband have a nice family, good jobs, and live in an affluent community. She acknowledged that her early years were tough and she had such low self-esteem that she had a tough time making friends. She thanked me for always being kind to her. She ended with, "I may have blossomed late, but it was worth the wait. I'm so happy for her. We keep in touch." This is a really heartwarming one, nice and had a nice happy ending there. I got really sad in the beginning and was worried it was going to go to a darker place, but I really like how this one ended, and I'm really happy for both of these people involved in the story here. It's great that you can come from such rough circumstances and still find a happy ending in the end. Gives me hope, and I think that's awesome. Very smart guy, but after his parents died, he inherited their house, quit his job, and sat around getting fatter and fatter, and finally died of a heart attack at age 48. What did I tell you? This thread has quite the broad spectrum of different answers, and this is one of those sadder ones. At first I thought it was just depressing because he just sat around and got fatter and fatter, basically ate himself to an early grave, but then I thought about it and I was like, oh, I mean, both of his parents died, and he wasn't even 48 at the time, so, I mean, that's kind of depressing that his parents died so early. Don't know what they died from, but could be a family history of heart issues based on this post, but I mean, man, what a way to go. That just sounds really depressing. The son of my teacher was a football player, had a beautiful girlfriend, they broke up before he graduated though, and was a procrastinator. Once he graduated, he went to work at a restaurant for a year, and as far as I knew, he was going to attend college the next year, but he had no idea of what his major was going to be. I just found out 2 weeks ago he got accepted to a local seminary and is going to become a priest. I was shocked, to say the least. That's kind of funny that he's going to end up going into the priesthood. I don't know how work-intensive being a priest is. I imagine the hours would be a little weird, basically being available for people around the clock if they need you, like to pray or just give advice or whatever. Other than the traditional sermons or whatever once or twice a week on Sundays. But yeah, that's kind of funny that a procrastinator is now going to a seminary. From what I hear, seminaries, I mean, that's pretty serious stuff, as far as I know. Yeah, that is pretty surprising, just based on what little we know about this person. Probably the smartest guy in class, but never actually paid attention or did his homework. Was always sleeping in class or doing his own thing or goofing off. Recently sold his startup for 8 figures and is now back to goofing off. I don't have it captured for this video, but I saw another comment in this thread that said something along the lines of, "If you think you're this person, I guarantee you're not. Get back to studying." And I think that's so accurate. Like, this is obviously just a 1 in a million success story. The vast majority of people who don't pay attention or do their homework are not gonna succeed like this, but I guess it's pretty cool for that guy. He was 2 years younger than me, absolutely brilliant, and went to Stanford after high school. Died in his sleep from a heart attack at age 20 while visiting family in China. He had an undiagnosed heart defect. So yeah, that was pretty unexpected. Rest in peace, Kevin. Man, this one's really sad. I mean, at age 20? Yeah, I guess an undiagnosed heart defect could do that to you, but that is the youngest age I've ever seen someone dying of a heart attack. That's horrible. I feel terrible for that person and his family and anybody who knew him. And he was going to Stanford to have his life cut so short like that. Yeah, rest in peace, Kevin. Don't know you, but that's really tragic, man. Best friend in high school. His stepdad was a district attorney, and apparently they didn't get along at all. This was the Bible Belt Southeast. I met him in the 10th grade as I smoked weed and he happened to sell it. He lived in a trailer park and financed it with his weed sales. My parents hated him. After he graduated from high school while living 100% on his own, he did 2 years of college before getting accepted in a major medical university program that actually paid him to be there. He is now a pharmaceutical engineer living in Switzerland. My parents were surprised to hear that. Wow, dope dealer from a trailer park is now a pharmaceutical engineer in Switzerland. That is the most extreme rags to riches story that I've ever seen, and major props to that guy for following his dreams and really doing something with his life. That's awesome. High school meth dealer and local lunchroom pot/cigarette vendor ended up being roommates senior year. 2 months after graduation, they both joined the Las Vegas PD. Switch team, yes or no? Yes. I think this is the funniest one in this whole thread. To go from straight up drug dealers and now you're on the other side of that, probably busting drug dealers, the same kind of people that you were a couple years ago. Life sure is funny like that. I think that's pretty hilarious. One dude who was always a jerk to me but hung out with our friend group got expelled in high school for having legit CP on his phone. He moved cities and I didn't hear from him for years. Turns out he murdered an elderly gay man and is in jail now. One super shy, quiet dude is now doing time for blackmailing girls and posting their nudes. These dudes both sound like a couple of creeps, and it's definitely good that they're both in jail now. Not really a friend, as I didn't run with their crowd, but like at every school, there was the really popular girl. Pretty, cheerleader, everybody liked her, wealthy parents, etc. I'm sure you knew someone like that yourself. Just maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, she got arrested and charged with several felonies for possession of meth, prescription painkillers, and a large amount of weed. I moved away from that town years ago and haven't really kept in touch with a lot of the people from there. However, a buddy of mine sent me a picture of the report in the newspaper and was like, "Remember her?" Definitely didn't expect it, that's for sure. People who are the center of the universe in high school can't always take it once graduation happens and suddenly the real world doesn't give two craps about you. Boy, if that ain't the truth. Cheerleader who took a heck of a turn. She was an impressive drinker in high school. She kept it up through college. Got a job, didn't love it. She joined AA, met a guy, older, had nice finances, estranged from his ex-wife, kids, no other family. They got married. A few months later, they're both drinking again. Within 2 years, he's dead. He left her everything. She is devastated. She goes back to AA, met another guy. Apparently older men who are estranged from their families are super easy to find in AA. You got it, they're drinking, next thing you know he's dead, left her everything. Now she's gone back to AA again. She has met the most wonderful man. It's a shame his kids won't speak to him and won't come to the wedding. It's next month. This one almost read like a horror story, but it was an emotional roller coaster from start to finish. It starts out, oh, cheerleader, like she had a nice life in high school, what happened to her? Oh, she started drinking and then got a job but didn't love it, and this isn't going to end well. Then she joined AA, met a guy, older, had nice finances. I'm like, oh, maybe this is where maybe she turns things around finally. Oh, then I read that he died, and then I'm like, oh, this is awful. Like, she's devastated by it. What's going to happen to her now? Then she repeats the cycle, and now it's this sort of femme fatale narrative here. Like, she's the reason these guys start drinking again, and then they die, and then she takes their money, and this third guy, like, what's gonna happen to him? I'm so worried about him, and he's got kids, and, it ends like a horror story almost, and I don't know. I think it's really easy when you have two addicts that are alone like that. I think it's easy for them to relapse together, so that's actually really sad. I feel really bad for really everyone involved in this whole story. I don't think it's necessarily intentional on her part. I mean, it certainly could be, but I don't want to put that on this person because I don't know anything about their story besides what this person has told us here on the internet. But even if it's not intentional, it sounds like she's just being reckless with people's lives. And I really feel for all those people. And I hope that third guy either makes it out or they don't fall into the same pitfalls as the last two relationships there. Yikes. The most brilliant girl I knew, second in our graduating high school, was also one of the most lively and outgoing people I knew. She could befriend anyone. She was so fun and energetic and thoroughly enjoyed living life. I thought she was destined for so much success. She ended up passing away last year, just a couple months shy of her 24th birthday, after a lengthy, private battle with cancer. When I found out about her illness, it was already terminal. And when she passed away, all I could think was how unfair it was that someone with so much potential, someone who did everything right in life, could die like that. Her death really got to me. and as the 1-year anniversary is approaching, I constantly remind myself to make the most of every second of my life because hers was cut so short. Wow, this one is really sad. I've known a person or two from high school who've passed away sadly and shortly after high school, and that's never easy to deal with, even if you weren't necessarily close to them. It really sort of boggles the mind how people can die so young like that, and you wonder what their life would have been if they had stayed around. And gosh, that's just really sad. I feel for this girl and her family and this person writing the post. But they're right. You never know when your time is going to come, and tomorrow isn't promised to anybody. So it's important to live life to the fullest and do what you want to do now, because you don't know if you'll have another 60 years to do it. You never really know what the future can hold for people. It can really take a 180 and you have no idea when or how that might happen. Do you have a friend in high school or a friend from school that took a complete 180? And if so, how'd that happen? How'd they start out and where'd they end up? Let me know in the comment section. And if you liked today's video, if you want to see more Reddit themed videos like this, just leave me a like and a subscription below, and I'll see you in the next video.